The Enchanted Wood by Enid Blyton. Chapter 19. Moonface gets into a fix. The children went over to the hens that Joe had seen. They were lovely ones, but a very peculiar colour, for their wings were pale green and the rest of their feathers were buttercup yellow. They had funny high voices and were very friendly indeed, for they came to press themselves around the children's legs, just like cats. Do you suppose Mother would like hens this colour? Asked Joe doubtfully. Well, I don't see why not, said Beth. I think they're very pretty. The thing is, do they lay good eggs? One of the hens at once laid an egg. It was large and quite an ordinary colour. Well, Beth was very pleased. There you are, she said. If they lay eggs as big as this one, Mother will be amazed. How many hens are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I wonder how we could take them all. Oh, they'll follow you, said Silky, just like my clock follows me. Tell them you want them and they'll come. Right. We want you to come with us, hens, said Joe at once, and the 7 green-winged birds came over to him, lined up in a row, as if to follow, like children at school. It was really very funny. Well, that's our hens found, said Beth, very pleased. Now we need the goat and we need the shovel. They wandered along looking at everything. It didn't matter what anyone wanted, they were sure to find it sooner or later. There were boats there, all kinds of dogs, shopping baskets, rings, toys, work baskets, and even small things like thimbles. Well, it's the strangest land I ever saw, said Joe. We look pretty strange too, said Franny, giggling as she looked around and saw the 7 hens and the small clock padding along behind them. Oh, look, there's the dearest, prettiest white goat I ever saw. Oh, do let's take her. Sure enough, not far off was a lovely white nanny goat with soft brown eyes and perky ears. She looked quite ordinary, except for the 2 blue spots by her tail. Little white goat, come with us, cried Franny, and the goat trotted up at once. It took its place behind the hens, but it didn't seem to like the clock, which bumped into it every now and again just to tease it. Don't do that, clock, said Silky. Oh, I hope your clock won't be a nuisance, said Beth. I think it likes acting rather silly, Silky. OK, Joe was in front. Now for the garden shovel. And he suddenly found a strong shovel standing against a fence with some other garden tools. What about this one, girls? This looks strong enough for Father, doesn't it? And he held it up for them to see. The girls looked. Joe decided to test it and jabbed it into the ground. It was just the right sort. Joe put it over his shoulder and the 4 of them grinned happily at each other. Right, we've got everything we want, said Joe. Come on, we'll go back to old Moonface and then we'll take some cakes to eat at home. So they, followed by the 7 hens, the white goat, the clock, made their way back to where they'd left Moonface. But there was a small problem. What do you think that problem might be? What would you do if you'd been left sitting at the top of a ladder in a land called Take What You Want? Would you be able to stay sitting by the ladder? Or would you have wanted to have a look around, a walk around and see what you could see? Well, it turns out that Moonface was no longer by the ladder. He was instead pulling a very lovely rug which was hanging from a tree. It was perfectly round with a hole in the middle. Hello, hello, yelled Moonface as he saw them. Hello! Come over, look what I've found, look what I've got. Just what I've always wanted for my round tree room, a round rug with a hole in the middle where the slippery slip begins. Wonderful! But watched to see that the land of Take What You Want kept by the faraway tree all right, didn't you? Asked Silky rather anxiously. So, Moonface, the question is, where is the hole that leads down to the tree? Oh, it's somewhere over there, said Moonface, dragging the rug around and staggering off. Come on, we're sure to find it. But they didn't. No, they didn't find it at all. It had gone. The land of Take What You Want had moved away from the faraway tree. Oh, Moonface, that's really very bad of you, said Joe anxiously and a bit crossly. You did promise. Moonface looked worried and pale. He hunted everywhere for the hole, but there was no hole to be seen. Oh, no. He began to shake with fright. I've got you all into a terrible fix, he said in a trembling voice. Here we are, stuck in a land where there's everything we will want, and the only thing we will want is to get away. Everyone looked upset. This was just too bad. I feel cross with you, Moonface, said Joe in a stern voice. You said you'd keep guard and you didn't. I don't think you're much of a friend. And I am ashamed of you too, Moonface, said Silky, who had tears in her eyes. Oh, we'll find someone to help us, said Moonface gloomily. And they all set off, followed by their hens, their goat, the clock, which kept striking 4 o'clock, and nobody knew why. But now they found a very curious thing. There didn't seem to be anyone at all in the land of Take What You Want. All the gnomes, the pixies, the elves had gone. Oh, they must have known the land was going to move off, said Moonface with a groan. Oh, no, and they all slipped down the ladder in time. Oh, why did I leave it? They wandered all over the land, which was not really very large, but was more crowded with things and animals than anywhere they'd ever seen. I can't think what to do, said Silky. She looked very upset now. It's true, there is everything here we want. We shan't starve, but it isn't the sort of place we want to live in forever. They walked here and there. And then suddenly they came to something they hadn't noticed before. Guess what it was? If you were up in a land above the clouds, what would you like to find that might get you home? Well, let's see if your idea is the same as what they actually found, because in front of them they saw a large, shining aeroplane, the kind that had an open top so that you could see all around when you sat inside. Ooh, said Joe, his eyes gleaming. Look at that! Oh, how I wish I could fly an aeroplane. Can you fly one, Moonface? Moonface shook his head. Silky shook hers too. Oh, well, that's no good then, said Joe with a sigh. I thought we might be able to fly away from this land in the aeroplane. He climbed into the aeroplane anyway and had a good look at it. There were 5 handles. One had a label on it that said up. Another had a label that said down. A third had one that said straight on. And a 4th and 5th that said to the right and to the left. Joe stared at the handles in excitement. Do you know, I believe I could fly this aeroplane, he said. I do believe I could. It looks quite easy. No, Joe, don't, said Beth in alarm. But Joe had pressed the handle labelled up, and before anyone could say another word, the shining aeroplane had risen upwards with Joe. Oh my gosh, leaving the others staring open-mouthed on the ground below. Oh, no, now Joe's gone, said Franny and burst into tears. No, he's gone. The aeroplane rose up and up. It circled round when Joe pressed the handle labelled to the right. It flew straight on when he pressed the third handle, and it flew down when he pressed the down handle. It was just as easy as that. Joe flew neatly to the ground and landed not far away from the others. They rushed to him, shouting and laughing. Joe, you really did you fly it, did you? Did you fly it really all by yourself? Well, you saw me, said Joe, beaming at everyone and feeling tremendously proud. It's quite easy. Get in, everyone, and, come on, we'll fly off. Maybe we'll come to somewhere that Moonface knows if we fly for long enough. They all got in. Beth packed the 7 squawking hens at the back and sat the white goat on her knee. The shovel went on the floor and the clock made a nuisance of itself because it wouldn't stay where it was put but kept climbing over everybody's feet to look out of the window. Silky began to wish that she hadn't bought it. Ready? Asked Joe, pressing the handle marked up, and up they went. Oh, what a lovely feeling it was. They really couldn't help feeling excited. Silky's clock got terribly excited too. It chimed 29 times without stopping. I shan't wind you up tonight if you don't keep quiet, said Silky suddenly. And that finished the clock. It lay down in a corner and didn't say another ding or another dong. Where are we off to, I wonder, said Beth. But nobody knew. Where do you think the children are going to fly to? Do you think that Joe will manage to find her way back to the magic faraway tree? Or do you think they might end up going somewhere else? Well, we'll find out what happens in the next chapter. Bye-bye.